Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our webinar. We're excited to have one of our partners, TrueCommerce, with us. Steve Norris and Jeff Franklin will be presenting on Don't Get Disrupted, How to Overcome Supply Chain Challenges with Integrated Solutions. And as a reminder, we are recording this webinar and we will post it to our on-demand webinar library for you to review again or share with anyone. And if you do have any questions along the way, please feel free to type them into the questions box and we will answer them at the end of our session during our Q&A time. So now I'm going to kick it over to Jeff to start our presentation.
Thank you, Angie. And so what I would love to do is let's start with a couple of poll questions just to find out what our audience is going to be doing. So if you could start a few.
Yep.
So will you be attending Dynamic Summit? Because guess what? We are. So I'm hoping that you will be as well.
As well as Innovia.
As well as Innovia. There you go. Okay, so wow, no and undecided. Okay, well, now that you know we're going, maybe you will. So there you go. Okay, let's run the next one. What is your organization's main focus? Is your company mainly focused on B2B or B2C or both? Are you guys online for your customers, and are they B2B or B2C? Love to hear what that one is. Both. Okay, that's great. And last one, run the last one there. How do you manage your supplier communication? How does your organization handle that? You know, is it just through EDI? Is it through a portal? Or is it email? Email. Well, that's so funny because, oh, EDI, thank you. That was nice. Because it's funny because I kind of figured most of it was going to be email as that's kind of behind the times. Okay, well, with that, let's start straight into this. I think you'll find this very informational, and you guys will find out more. So if we can, I don't know, there's Steve's screen. So Steve, can we go to the next slide? So, the supply chain used to be super easy, okay? You usually had one supplier, you worked with one customer or retailer, and it was very easy to do business. It was, before anybody really started expanding their business and starting to get into e-commerce and getting online, whether it's B2B or B2C, and through all the different storefronts. And, and then, of course, on the retail side or on your customer side, that expanded out. So before, you used to have like one supplier or a couple of suppliers that would do it. And, but as that grew, you realized that there was still even, you wanted to sell more products. And as you started getting online, you started realizing that there was more demands put on you as well. I mean, to get your products up online, to be able, to post all of the information that they needed, to also, expand all the different channels. I mean, think about it. You got your own e-commerce site, there's a Shopify site, there's Amazon, Amazon.com, there's Walmart.com, and all these different marketplaces. And the problem was, you want to automate all of that. You want to be able to take it from any channel that's out there and be able to pull that right into your, Microsoft product. But then you also want to be able to handle the supplier side of it and be able to know when that supply chain is going to be able to send your products. Some of them might be doing fulfillment for you. Some of them might be, handling different products. Some might only handle a few. And especially over the last year and a half, you might have found out that some of your suppliers weren't able to meet the demand that you had, and you had to go out and find other suppliers for that. And then once you started, expanding all of your business, you started realizing we got to be able to fulfill these orders. And when you were shipping pallets or truckloads to a company, that was pretty easy for your company to do. But now you're sending out one product or one item to one customer. That became a bigger burden on your business as well. So with this, we're going to go through and tell you how TrueCommerce can definitely help you. Next slide. So with, the diverse customers that you have and the diverse suppliers you have, what you're going to realize is that it's great that you can automate, maybe the top 20% of your customers, or even on the supplier side. It's kind of the same thing. And yeah, that might be the higher volume side of your business. But what about the other 80% of your customers? Are you taking in, 20% might cover your EDI, the high volume guys, but what about, the smaller suppliers or the smaller customers? Are they sending you emails? Are they sending you an attachment? Are they tying into the portal? Are you doing a B2B, site, e-commerce site? So the whole idea is, it's great that you can get 20% of the, the higher quantity up, but what about the 80% that's probably taking you 80% of the time to handle 20% of your business? And the same thing on the supplier side. The suppliers, you don't want to have too much inventory, but you want to be able to manage them to know when it's coming in, to make sure that you won't be out of stock. You want to make sure that you know who your top suppliers are and that you can count on them. So again, on the supplier side, and that's why I asked that question, how are you managing them? Are you managing them by EDI? And that's great if it's via EDI. The only problem is EDI only tells you that you ordered it, they received it, and maybe they'll send you the shipping documents. But there's no real management to know, did they, acknowledge that within the time frame that I know I can fulfill my Amazon order. So, we're going to go through this and show you how you can take care of all of your customers and all of your suppliers at the same time. Next slide. So what we're hearing is, a lot of people, they might be doing EDI internally. They might be, handling it themselves. And what we're finding is that a lot of people don't want to do EDI on their own. We've been doing it for years, and we realize that companies don't want to do this. They want to automate all of their orders, whether it's from an e-commerce or from a storefront or marketplace, all through the same integration to be able to pull those orders in. It doesn't matter where it comes from, which sales channel it's coming in from. They want to ship their products faster and cheaper and know that the rate that they're getting is the best so that they can make the highest profit. They want to manage all of their suppliers and that's where we've seen a tremendous growth in our business, is that on the supply. Now that you got the customer side of your business very efficient, you want to get the supplier side of your business very efficient so that you can fulfill those orders. You don't want too much inventory. And one of the biggest complaints that we always hear is matching up invoices to purchase orders on the supply side. It takes them a long time. Did we really receive what we did? Are we getting billed for what we received? And then you also, what we found is a lot of, companies are starting to take advantage of their suppliers doing their drop ship for them so that they don't even have to have inventory in stock. So anyways, with this, Steve is going to take over and really show you how we can help you, and we'll start by connecting customers. Steve, all you.
Yeah, thanks, Jeff. I hope everybody can hear me. Nice to meet everybody today, and thanks for joining. Thanks for thoroughly filling out the poll questions. That's really helpful and helps helps formulate some of the presentation as we go. So thanks for doing that. As we mentioned, and as you saw part of the as a part of your your email invites for the event, we're really talking about how to help you overcome supply chain challenges, right? And it feels like 2020 and 2021, if there was a theme there, it was overcoming supply chain challenges. And it's all about how can you start automating these key parts of your business as they need to interface, and have them automatically interface with Business Central so that you can focus on value-added tasks and the things that pop up in your day-to-day that require manual effort. So it's about automating those kind of mundane, repetitive tasks. You can focus on more value-added tasks. And what we want to talk about today is really connecting key parts of your supply chain to Business Central. And what TrueCommerce offers as a part of our overall solution is really the most complete way of integrating transactions from your customers, from your suppliers, and to and from 3PLs directly with Business Central. Connecting with your customers is something I saw as a part of the poll that you got, many of the attendees today do, and a lot of them tend to do it via EDI. If you've heard of TrueCommerce before, you know who we are. It's from our 25+ year history of doing EDI and integrating it within the Dynamics ERP platforms. As Jeff had mentioned, as he talked about earlier, the landscape of the customers that you have today, he mentioned that only about 20% of your customers may be EDI. But if you think about your organization, that 20% of your customers may make up 75% or better of your order volume and total revenue, especially if you're in kind of food and beverage or in consumer packaged goods or outdoor products. When I started implementing EDI solutions with the Dynamics packages 18 years ago, we did this by installing kind of these monolithic on-premise implementations, where you might provision multiple servers in order to be able to communicate and do some of the translation. And oftentimes these required large modifications to the ERP system. If you're attending today or you're watching this video and you've been on NAV 2009 at any point in your lifetime, you probably understand this very clearly. But the market has shifted. Just like Microsoft has shifted from large ERP systems being installed on premise to the Dynamics 365 model for applications like Business Central, subsequent applications are also moving to the cloud. And that's where TrueCommerce offers that true cloud-to-cloud integration from an EDI perspective. Gone are the days that your organizations have to worry about managing individual EDIs, idiosyncrasies across each and every one of your trading partners. Folks like TrueCommerce that offer a full true cloud-to-cloud solution and a true multi-tenant platform allow you to get the economies of scale of the over 92,000 trading partners that we have as a part of our global network today. That allows us to be able to, once you're integrated with Business Central, to spin up any of those 92,000 plus trading partners in the same business day you order them, so you can begin that testing process. If we think even 10 years ago, oftentimes that process involved weeks to months. The other nice thing about someone like TrueCommerce is we're providing a full managed service solution. So we're managing those mapping changes as well as the integration changes and any changes that come out about subsequent iterations of Business Central as a part of the overall updates that they're doing. When organizations often think about EDI, they tend to think about X12, and maybe if they're selling internationally, or they're part of the automotive supply chain, Edifact. But our network also is enabled for CXML. If you have folks that are asking you to participate as a part of a punch-out program, we support XML, CSV, JSON, and any positional file formats to help you be able to better connect to your customers, regardless of how they want to exchange content with you electronically. But as you think about your organization, you think about, how do I capture orders from folks that want to order product from me, right, that don't have EDI capabilities? We looked at the poll. We saw that everybody that was a part of our presentation today was both B2B and B2C, right? So how do you capture those orders? Consumers aren't doing EDI with you, right? So to be able to capture those orders, TrueCommerce offers a B2B and B2C e-commerce platform, all within the same application. This means you don't have to have a separate app or a separate storefront for B2C and yet another provider for a B2B portal. This allows us to be able to capture orders from your customers, directly interface those into Business Central, as well as being able to provide shipping detail and inventory information, as well as pushing product information from Business Central up into the platform. This has been really helpful for our customers, especially over really the last 2 years, but for the 15 years that we've been offering this for B2B e-commerce. We've seen a lot of what I would call the consumerification of B2B commerce, right? Folks are looking to be able to order in a familiar way. As more and more buyers at organizations, are more in that millennial generation, they expect to be able to order from their phone. They expect an Amazon-like shopping experience, and many of the B2B e-commerce platforms do not provide that. They're simply order entry portals, right? You can see on the screen here where we're providing that Amazon-like effect. The two key features that I've seen a lot of our customers leverage recently are things like order approvals, being able to have your customer create an order approval workflow where they go in and they say, hey, I'm able to order products up to a certain amount, and above that, we want to be able to send that to a manager or director to approve. This allows your organization to make sure that you're getting these orders timely. It allows you to be able to manage and have visibility into that process, and allows you to be able to make sure that people aren't ordering from you that maybe shouldn't be. The other key feature we've seen, especially over the last 2 years, has really been being able to handle distribution diversity. Many organizations, because their supply chain has been disrupted, are looking at how do they leverage a network of 3PLs or a dropship community. But as a consumer, as a business, when I order and I put my items into a cart, I'm not expecting to have to be able to say, here's who I want you to buy this from, or here's where I want you to ship it from. In many cases, that's invisible to me. And then in our back end, we're able to say, hey, this order needs to be routed to a 3PL. This order maybe needs to be routed to a dropship supplier, and be able to distribute that order to them. Also, if you do field sales for any of your products, if you have folks that are working at a trade show or on a showroom floor that want to be able to place an order using an iPad, or if you want to be able to extend B2C features like subscriptions and clubs or loyalty programs, right? Have seen that also in B2B commerce recently for folks that want to set up reoccurring orders. If you work with organizations that are always ordering kind of once a month and in certain quantities, they can go in and they can set up that reordering program, which allows you guys to establish that recurring revenue without risk to the business. The nice thing also as well, from a TrueCommerce perspective, if we're saying, hey, we're the most complete solution about connecting you to your customers, we also need to be able to connect you to the places that your customers are looking for your products. We know from talking with Forrester that 54% of product searches today start on Amazon. That means they don't start on Google, they don't start on, Microsoft Bing, right? They start on Amazon. So if your product's not there, and someone's looking for it, they don't find it, what are they finding? They might be finding a list of your competitors' products, right? So a lot of organizations are starting to say, how do I reach my customers where they like to shop? TrueCommerce offers connectivity to over 100 plus marketplaces. These are third-party marketplaces that traditionally don't exchange EDI as a part of their marketplace programs, right? These are generally API connections, and we have connections to 100 plus different marketplaces, some of the most popular that you see on the screen today, but also the ability to help you guys expand internationally. We have marketplace connections to places like Zalando, Tmall, Alibaba that are very popular, in Europe and in Asia, as well as the ability, if your organization is looking at doing more social selling, right? If you have a product that that you find that would be valuable to sell through Google Shopping Analytics or through Facebook Marketplace or through the Instagram checkout, we have the capabilities of being able to help there, not just take the orders, but also push shipping details as well as the inventory to those channels. Now, inevitably, we get somebody that comes to a webinar and might ask the question towards the end about what do I do about the customers that I have that still want to order from me via email. We cover that off as a part of the solution as well. Again, the most complete way of being able to integrate transactions from your customers, regardless of how they want to order, directly into Business Central. And how do we do that? Through email. If there are email attachments or there's content that's sent in an electronically generated format, whether it's an attachment or in the body of the email itself, we're able to gather that information and be able to process that into Business Central as well. Depending on what verticals you're in, we see this being used sometimes more often than other options, right? If you're in industrial products or products that can be customized, a lot of times these products are ordered this way via email. What's interesting about the way we've tackled this is for the last 2 decades, people have been using OCR to read this content in and have struggled with, understanding, is this value the number 1 or a lowercase l, or is this a 0 or an uppercase O, or maybe translation problems with the invoice number versus the invoice amount. The nice thing is we don't have those problems. We've creatively read the clear text out of the document, and you may not know what that is, but I'm sure you've used it before. If you've ever opened up a PDF, you've ever highlighted the content, you've ever copied and pasted it into another document, we're reading the bits and bytes behind these documents to guarantee 100% accuracy on the translation. And that flows right through our integration gateway and right into Business Central. So I can help you from your biggest customer that does EDI to your smallest customer that might still be sending you emails, and then also be able to help you capture orders from your e-commerce channels, as well as providing a business-to-business and business-to-consumer platform from which they can order. The nice thing is that you don't have to invest in this all at once. You could start with a very simple need. Many of our customers come to us and say, hey, I just need to connect EDI to Business Central, or maybe I just need to connect a few PDF customers to Business Central, and they grow out from there. As you're expanding sales, right, your organizations may, if you're on the call today, your organization may have seen increased demand recently, right? Maybe you're out of warehouse space, or maybe you've determined you don't have a great geographic coverage for some of your customers, or maybe in some cases you don't have the warehousing expertise. I've seen this a lot recently where wholesale organizations, folks that primarily sell into, big retailers that we could all name, are now looking at direct to consumer. Well, shipping pallets and truckloads of products is way different than shipping ones and twos of things. And whether it's geographic expansion or coverage, whether it's simply you're out of warehouse space, or it's just looking for expertise in things like drop shipping, this is where a 3PL may come into play. But what's interesting is, and I hear a lot of grumbling from organizations early on over this perception that they might be losing control when they switch to a 3PL. Where TrueCommerce comes into place, we have a full 3PL integration that integrates 3PLs into and out of your Business Central environment so that you can launch key transactions to the 3PL and receive key transactions back. So within Business Central, you have just as much visibility to a 3PL as you do things that you're shipping internally. And we pride ourselves on our depth of integration. Guys, today we have over 20 plus integration points into Business Central, and still continuing to expand on that. Dynamics 365 is one of the largest growing segments of TrueCommerce. I won't read these all on the screen. This will be available for you to be able to pull down, as a part of the presentation, once it closes and the video is available to you. But understand that we have capabilities around being able to fully integrate 3PLs, as well as being able to integrate all those different types of customers that we talked about earlier. You'll notice as a part of this, we also have functions that are important from a B2C perspective. If you're looking to have new customers created for new online customers, if you're looking to have customer record, addresses created for new ship tos, that's a part of our solution as well. You'll find many other solutions that are out there that might claim to do similar things, missing key features around kind of that B2C process. But it's not just about managing, it's not generally enough to automate business transactions back and forth with your customers and say, hey, that's it, right? Especially these days, right? It's also important that you can provide these customers the information they need about your products in order to be able to sell them and have it available to them immediately when they need it. This is where we can help, and we can help you expand past the fields that are available to you in Business Central. BC is a fantastic way of managing item counts and inventory, right, and the financials around inventory, but it's not designed to manage the sales and marketing content that really has the consumer in mind. Well, certainly Business Central has the capabilities of storing things like internal attribution about products. It doesn't have capabilities of storing that rich product content that's required to be successful in selling in today's digital environment. TrueCommerce allows you actually, and you can see on the screen here, to be able to source the product details that you have in Business Central that live in there, allows you to be able to store that information in TrueCommerce, and then manage and assemble rich product content to associate with those particular products. These are things like images, romance language descriptions, feature lists, item specifications, instruction manuals, videos, 360 views are all part of things that you can attach so that TrueCommerce has the content that then can be sent out to your customers, whether these are online marketplaces, whether you need to push this data to an e-commerce platform, or you need to be able to push this to some of your brick and mortar retailers or distributors as well. It also allows you to be able to build out a product catalog that you can share and have customers log in and view for your smaller distributors or customers that you work with. Also, as a part of this is maintaining that relationship of your attribution and categorization to the different attribution and categories that your customers require. For instance, if you're selling on Dick's Sporting Goods today, they have a series of different attributes that they're expecting to get from your organization. If that same product is sold on Amazon, they have a similar set of attributes, right? But they're not the same as your internal one. They're not the same as Dick's Sporting Goods. The fields probably aren't named the same. They don't necessarily have the same valid values, right? And the way you populate these fields, these additional attributes for the channel, determines how you appear in the search results, right? And in some of the advanced searches. I was on Wayfair the other day. You'd be surprised the level of detail, if you haven't been on there, that you can get around a product search. You can say, hey, I'm looking for a table, needs to have 4 legs, obviously. Top needs to be, it'd be nice if the top was an oak wood. It'd be nice if the legs were metal. It'd be nice if it sat on casters so I could push it around my living room if I needed to. You can get to a really good level of granularity there. The nice thing is we allow you to be able to manage those attributes, the categorization, the corresponding mapping, and all of the rich content directly from within our platform, and be able to broadcast that out to your different customers or channels that you need to put it on. And this includes the ability to be able to automatically validate the product content for completeness. But it also allows you to be able to go in and define what that completeness or readiness looks like. Because it's not generally just enough to provide the minimum required fields to a particular customer or channel. If we have anybody on the call that's involved in the e-commerce aspects of your business, they could reiterate that, right? There's a lot of fields that you want to be able to send so you appear in more of the drill down searches, so you appear in the right categories, right? That are fields that may not necessarily be required by the channel, but are definitely required for you to be successful in selling. We manage that and can immediately tell you which pieces of information are missing from a particular product based on your requirements and allow you to go in and add that content in there. We had a customer I talked to last week that said this cut down their launch time for new products by over 75%. Also, as you think about scaling out, we talked about being the most complete way of connecting to your customers and 3PLs, but also to your suppliers. Many people are driven to automate these customer and online channels due to the revenue impact, right? Being able to expand the number of places that you can sell and drive frictionless order taking allows you to be able to generate more revenue for your business. And that may have been why you showed up today, or it may just simply be that we're trying to satisfy compliance requirements for a retailer or distributor from an EDI perspective with Business Central. Either way is fine, there's no problem with either of those. But also your organization can look at driving efficiencies and lowering costs by automating connectivity to your supplier community. Jeff hit on this a little bit earlier. Most organizations don't effectively trade with their suppliers. Most are doing this manually. And if we think about something as simple as how do you order from your suppliers, it could be as simple as you just simply launching an email from Business Central that includes a PDF copy of an order to the supplier, right? But I've seen also in other cases where organizations have like a binder that sits on somebody's desk and they're kind of pilfering through it to figure out, how do I place this order with this supplier? Do they need an EDI document? Do I need to call them? Is it okay if they get a PDF? Do they need a formatted PDF, right? These are things that organizations like yourselves think about all the time, but don't have systems in place to be able to automate. Not just figuring out how do we get the supplier the order and in what format, but even if we're sending these all out and we said, okay, the way we get orders to our suppliers today is that we email them a PDF copy of the order and Business Central does that, so we're good. Well, what that doesn't accommodate for is, how do I ever know if the order was received, right? Did they get it? Maybe they email me back and say, hey, yes, we got it. Or maybe that email went to somebody that doesn't work at the company anymore. Or maybe it was an urgent email to a dropship supplier and that person you sent it to is on vacation for 2 weeks, right? These are things that organizations deal with all the time, and they deal with it manually. They're calling the vendor, they're exchanging a series of emails to simply understand, was the order received and can they meet the shipping requirements for it? But also then again, generally another email process around, how do I get that tracking number back? How do I know what they're shipping? How do I know when the delivery date is so that I can update the customer that's ordered it, or so that I can plan labor at the warehouse, right? Oftentimes, again, that's handled via email. And then on top of all these manual processes, you end up with then having to figure out how to match the invoice. And so oftentimes, folks that are in AP are left with a stack of invoices that they're trying to figure out, did the product get received yet? Did we order this? Did the pricing match? Did the quantities match? All being done generally manually. To Jeff's point, maybe there's a couple people that you've put EDI in place for, and it looked like on our poll, some of you have put EDI in place to be able to handle this. But many of you don't. Many organizations that I meet with on a regular basis have not done this for their entire supplier community. This is where TrueCommerce comes into play. They do EDI great, right? We're able to help you automate that into and out of Business Central. But also, if there are suppliers that you work with that are smaller, maybe they're niche product suppliers, maybe they're, maybe they are more of a small mom and pop, right? That may not have the level of technical sophistication, but might still be important supplier to your business. We have the ability to be able to spin up a vendor portal where they can see the orders and respond back to you with things like confirmations, to be able to respond back to you with things like shipping details, for them to be able to print compliance labels for you or branded packing slip, and for them to be able to invoice. And the nice thing is, and you can see in the middle of our screen here, our workflow rule engine and content validation allows us to be able to do those validations for you that we talked about in the previous slide. To be able to validate that the order was confirmed, and if not, send out automated notifications that let you and the supplier know it hasn't been confirmed yet. Allows us to be able to make sure that we're gathering a tracking number for every order or a bill of lading number. It allows us to be able to make sure that they're meeting the delivery date requirements based on what you've set or based within thresholds that you allow them to pivot from within. It allows us to make sure that every invoice that you get within a certain threshold of configuration can be automatically integrated into Business Central as a fully matched invoice. We also can extend this to be able to accommodate for PDFs as well. So if you think about kind of traditional e-invoicing, we provide that as a part of our overall solution. So even if you haven't issued a purchase order to the supplier, and it's somebody maybe coming into your warehouse to be able to fix a loose rack, or to be able to fix an issue with the lighting, or be able to fix a networking, wireless networking issue from within the warehouse, they may send you an emailed invoice. We can process that right into Business Central as well. A lot of organizations start to say, hey, well, those smaller suppliers that don't have technical sophistication are a part of this long tail of suppliers that it doesn't make sense for us to be able to enable. Well, if you were going to mandate that they do EDI, you wouldn't get the adoption from your lowest volume suppliers. And that's a figment of volume, but also maybe the technical capabilities of the suppliers themselves. This is where a portal comes into play, because that allows us to be able to easily and affordably source data from some of these smaller suppliers so that you can actually interface those directly back into Business Central, and you can get the full visibility as if they were doing EDI. If you think about suppliers that are a part of your supply chain, depending on what your products are, many of these long tail suppliers that you don't order from specifically every day are still critical to maybe your manufacturing process, right? I've oftentimes talked about, the number of pieces that are in a Toyota Corolla. There's 35,000 pieces that are a part of an overall Toyota Corolla down to the last screw. Well, if you don't have the gas pedal, or you don't have the brake, or you don't have the airbags, or you're missing 3 lug nuts for one of the tires, you don't have any cars. So even those small suppliers that are a part of it play a critical role in the success of organizations much like yourself. And while it may not be as amplified as in the Toyota example, certainly you could find areas of your business that that's applicable to. When you scale out supplier communications, typical idea is, hey, maybe we do this just through EDI. Again, we'll only help you get the large and those that are technically sophisticated and willing to participate. And if you do just EDI, sure, you can communicate and you can do, you would have some level of integration, but it doesn't give you that ability to be able to do the automated 3-way matching, right? And being able to push that content back to the supplier if it doesn't match. It doesn't provide alerting around inconsistencies or late documents or any vendor scorecarding, or really the ability to connect with anybody past EDI. This is where TrueCommerce comes into play, is really that holistic way of connecting to your supplier, from the biggest supplier that you're working with to the smallest guy that might be making a niche part that goes into a manufacturing process that you have, and all the way through. We're directly integrating that with Business Central to be able to pull out purchase orders, be able to pull out updates to purchase orders, to be able to push purchase order updates from your suppliers back into Business Central, being able to help automate some of the receiving as well as some of the invoicing process that's a part of it. It's all a part of our integrated platform. What I'd like to do now is I'd like to shift over and show you a few things that are a part of the platform. And I won't belabor the point as a part of our demonstration. I do want to make sure we have time at the end for questions. So let me spend a few minutes with you introducing us to the platform itself. And you should, and you'll be able to see that on my screen here momentarily. So if we go over, I'm going to actually switch my sharing to my different screen here, and you should see that here in 1 second. So you'll see that the TrueCommerce platform, which I'm sharing now, is 100% cloud-based. There's literally nothing that needs to get deployed into your environment other than our extension for Business Central. So you're not provisioning servers or other database access, and you're not provisioning additional Azure server licensing as a part of it. But you can come in, we can immediately see that TrueCommerce is collecting transactions from EDI suppliers with the likes of Walmart, Walgreens, and Target, as well as being able to collect orders from other channels like a Shopify site that I have set up, some email conversion from a PDF orders that I'm getting, and other marketplace connections like my Amazon Marketplace. I'm collecting these in one place and then seamlessly integrating them on a scheduled basis over into Dynamics 365 Business Central. So when I go into Business Central and I see my sales orders, these orders are going to get automatically entered directly into Business Central and show up just like they're any other orders within the Business Central platform. So I can see from within here, I have things like Shopify orders that have been processed through here. If I go in, I look a little further, I can see I have Amazon transactions. I have some orders that I've gotten from Whole Foods. I have orders that have came in from Fleet Farms, from Addium Corporation, and others from within here. The key thing here is that this is automatically being integrated. And if there are any errors in that integration process, good example here, somebody orders a product with the wrong price, we can actually let you know. We can fail different business rules as a part of the integration and be able to push it off to your team for folks like in customer service to be able to, automatically receive email notifications when there are errors or warnings. This allows organizations like yourself to be fully automated and only manage to those exceptions. We have full business rule validation as a part of the solution that allows you to be able to go in and at a trading partner at a global level, be able to apply different integration rules for particular trading partners. And this is where I can go in and actually configure different integration level changes to be able to go say, hey, on my purchase order import or on my purchase order, or my purchase order export over to Business Central, what rules do I want to have in place? How do I want to handle things like price verification? How do I want to handle duplicate PO numbers? Do I need to be able to use customer create? Am I using the next defined Business Central order number or a different set of order numbers? These are things I can configure from within the integration that our team works with you to configure, and you have the ability to be able to go in and change so you see a fully integrated platform with Business Central. And then we're able to integrate all the transactions that we showed that were listed. So whether we're talking about sales orders or whether we're talking about purchase orders or we're talking about working with, updating purchase orders, whether that's through a purchase order change or transactions that are being exchanged with a 3PL, we can do that through the entire platform. And again, regardless of the level of technical sophistication of the customer, supplier, 3PL that you're working with. In addition to that, we talked about that ability to be able to manage product content and product information. So when we think about inventory that you have inside of Dynamics 365, we know that specific products have, specific things from within Business Central that are a part of them, right? If we go in and we take a look at things like these guitar picks, we can see that there's some attribution associated with it. We have pricing and cost and inventory levels, right? You can even go in and attach one picture if you want. But just this level of information, to my point earlier, won't make you successful necessarily selling online if you took this information and pushed it to Amazon or to Shopify or to another B2B or B2C site or even out to any general retailer that you may be a part of their community. So we have the ability as a part of our platform to be able to actually grab that product information directly out of Business Central, be able to have you adjust and enter new content for it. So when we go in and we look at items that maybe just came out of Business Central, we can see that we have our evaluation or our readiness bar here at the bottom that's telling us that this particular product that we're looking at here, the snow shovel, is missing information. And we can look at the specific readiness for it by channel. So I can see if I want to sell this through channels that are connected through Commerce Hub, I still need a long description in a UPC. If I'm planning to sell this on the Walmart Marketplace, I'm going to need to make sure I have an image with it. If I'm selling it on Shopify, I still need a long description and an image, right? This is content that generally, while the UPC you could pull directly out of Business Central, these types of long descriptions are generally not stored from within Business Central, but rather in another platform. And the nice thing is that we have the ability to be able to manage that for you. So you could go in, you could enter things like the long description, like various attributes, feature lists, right? And details about your products. That allows us to be able to then go in and store that information so you have a single repository of this product data, and allows you to be able to then publish that information out to those channels or customers that need it. The other thing you see as a part of the platform is really that ability to then be able to take things like purchase orders, right? And be able to send them out of Business Central. So on a scheduled basis, we could be listening for purchase orders that are in Business Central and distribute them to the suppliers that need it. We can do that through our platform, whether we're launching it out via EDI or we're making it available on a portal that's branded as your organization. So I've logged in think of this as one of your company's suppliers, right? They would be able to go in, they would receive an email notification with a PDF copy of the order, and they could go in, see that order, and perform the next steps on it. So they can go in, they can see the orders that have been issued to them, they can go in, they can see the level of detail for their suppliers, they can go in, see how they're performing against an order if your organization allows things like short shipments, and then they can go in and they can actually physically execute on things like being able to go through an acknowledgement process, by being able to go through a shipping process, and being able to generate the invoice. So we can see from within here, when we go in, we can actually control what level of detail you want to be able to get back and what you want to allow them to be able to change. So in this case, I said, hey, I want to get line level detail on confirmations back from my suppliers. And in this case, for this supplier, said, hey, they can change the quantity and they can change the expected delivery date and nothing else. They can't change the price, they can't add new items, they can't remove items, they can adjust these two fields. When they go in and confirm it, that confirmation can go directly back into Business Central, as well as alert you via email if there were any changes that were a part of it. So if you want to be alerted when there are things like they are out of stock of a product or there's a short shipment coming or things along those lines, the system is able to alert you via email. The system's also making sure that your business rules are being followed. So for instance, if you happen to say as an organization that you don't allow over shipments or under shipments, that can be enforced at the portal level, but also could be enforced from an EDI perspective. So if someone sends you an over shipment, we actually can toss that information back to the supplier to say, hey, your organization does not allow for, the organization that you're trading with does not allow for over shipments of a product. In this case, you can see me going in, I created a pallet and I said, hey, I want to put items on this pallet. Well, somebody goes in and says, okay, instead of 200, they type in 200,000 of a product. That's a problem, right? And when they go and try to do that, they can immediately get an error, and we don't allow that to be submitted to your organization to cause challenges. That same level of validation can be happening from an EDI perspective as well. If they could go in, update that, and submit that information to your organization, along with being able to invoice at that particular point. You'll notice that when we go and we look at the invoice, it was driven off of everything that was a part of the original order and what was on the shipment. So all they're literally doing is going and keying the invoice number from their system if they're doing this manually, and then they're validating that the lines are right? So in this case, it matched what was on the shipment, it matched what was on the order, and they're submitting you a fully matched invoice, and that can come right back into Business Central matched to the appropriate purchase order and appropriate purchase order details. From within the platform, we're also giving you a holistic view of what's happening. So if you choose to use more than one of the TrueCommerce solutions, right, it's important that you have the ability to be able to see analytics across it. So our solution also provides a robust set of KPIs so you can see exactly what's happening in your organization. And the nice thing is that it's not just eye charts. It would be easy to look at this and say, hey, great, my suppliers are only confirming orders 55% of the time on time. That's not particularly good, right? Orders are shipping in full only 46% of the time. Depending on what you sell these days, that might be a godsend, or it might be horrible, right? But what's cool is you can drill down specifically into any of these analytics to be able to see granular level detail that make it up. This helps you with making things like purchasing decisions. It helps you also with understanding more about how your customers are ordering from you, where they're ordering from you from, and gives you that ability to be able to get to that granular level of detail. If I know, for instance, right, that Metalis Art Supplies in my example generally delivers on average 1.2 days late, that might make me think a little bit about, one, do I still want to work with this supplier? Or two, do I also need to think about how I'm ordering from them? Do I need to order maybe 1 day ahead? Maybe I order 2 or 3 days ahead. Maybe I call them and see, hey, why is this shifted? I could look at this. I could look at this in current time. I also could look at this over a period of time. So giving you really robust analytics around it. I appreciate everybody joining the webinar today. At this point in time, would love to open this up for questions that you might have.
Thanks, Steve. Right now, we don't have any questions that have come through, but please feel free to get those questions in and we can get them addressed from Steve and Jeff.
So Steve, from our side of the business, we've seen tremendous growth on this. Is that on the supplier side? Is that because, even though EDI gives you communication, it only gives you the data that's in the EDI and doesn't really respond to all of those other features that you showed. Is that correct?
Yeah, and we've seen a tremendous amount of demand in this area, and a lot of this has been driven by the lack of visibility that organizations have across their supply chain. So, especially on the supply side, with things like the backlogs on containers, with things like port delays. I was talking with an organization last week that were saying that products that used to show up in 4 to 6 weeks are now about 14 to 16 weeks delayed, right? You can imagine the frustration that they have internally as an organization, but you can multiply that probably by 10 to get the level of frustration that their customers are having with them, right? So being able to, a lot of what's driving this is the ability to be able to know at any point in time exactly where a product is. Has it shipped from the supplier? Is it on its way to me? Have they not confirmed the order yet? Has the order been picked up and shipped to the freight forwarder yet? Right? That enhanced visibility is what organizations are looking for today in order to be able to drive a better customer experience, but also to make sure that they have products manufactured in stock so that they're available to be able to sell into retailers and distributors that they have as well.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And whether it's on a ship that's trying to turn around in the canal, right?
Yep, yeah, something along those lines. The other growth area that we've seen is really around AP processing. So if you think about organizations looking to drive efficiencies, one of the big things is around the e-invoicing programs. Continue to come up from within our existing customer base, as well as the outside world, with the ability of being able to capture invoices, even for things like indirect spend, right? Direct spend tends to be a little, direct spend has that three-way matching associated, but with indirect spend, a lot of times you'd get invoices from maybe a service provider or something like that needs to be, one, cost coded, and two, go through an approval workflow. That's all a part of our stack, and we're seeing a lot of renewed interest there, especially as organizations are working remote, and the person that's approving these transactions probably isn't in the same office any longer. Maybe everyone's working from home. There's been a lot of traction around that from an e-invoicing side on the supplier side, as well as a customer ordering front, right? Folks are ordering, they might have it shipped to their house, they might have it shipped to the office. They might be ordering a new laptop, right? Because maybe there was a failure with the one that they currently have, but but also their boss needs to approve expenses over $1,000, right? So being able to help automate and give visibility into that, are really kind of key things we're seeing, especially as the workforce tends to be, maybe back in more of a hybrid type of model.
Awesome.
All right. Well, we appreciate everybody's time today. Thanks for joining our webinar. If you have any questions after the fact, would love to chat. Feel free to reach out to Jeff Franklin or myself. We would love to help. And Novia will make a recording of this available to all the attendees today. So appreciate everybody. Angie, thanks for having us a lot today. Thanks for hosting. Always enjoy a chance to catch up on how things are going at Novia.
All right, thank you both, Steve and Jeff, for presenting. And for everyone on the webinar, or if you're watching on demand, we thank you for taking the time out to join us. And to let you know, we do have new training workshops for you and your team members to attend. Visit our training workshop page at inovia.com/workshops for more information and to register for the training workshop that fits your role. And we do have more webinars coming up. Can you believe it's going to be August next week? That's just crazy. This year's gone by too fast. Next Tuesday, we have our very own food team presenting on Help Wanted, leveraging automation to overcome the labor shortage. And then we have Avalera on Wednesday, August 4th, and they will be presenting on 2021 sales tax changes, the mid-year update for manufacturers and distributors. So check out our website for more of our upcoming events, and that's inovia.com/events. And don't forget to check out our Inovia Conversation podcast that our hosts Steve Waltz and Jeff Progolski have provided to us. You can find out about all the different podcast platforms to listen to on our podcast page, and that's inovia.com/podcast. So check out that selection and subscribe so you'll get notified when those new episodes air. And fall is approaching, so that means conference time in our world. And Inovia is proud to be a premier sponsor for Dynamics Con, which is a free virtual event, September 20th through the 23rd. And Inovia has 4 session speakers under Business Central and Power Platform. So check out dynamicscon.com to vote for sessions. Today's the last day to cast your vote. All right, well, we thank you again for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you soon on another Inovia webinar. Take care, everyone. Thanks, guys.